Hello, St. Raphael School community. We are back with 5 questions with your classical educator. And today we have Dr. Erin Moulton. She is a longtime instructor of our school, and she has some news to share with us. But before we get to that, those of you that don't know Dr. Moulton, we're going to have her introduce herself a little bit. I have a very important question to ask her, and then we'll get into what she is offering for the 22-23 school year.
All right, well, thank you for having me. I don't know how you want me to introduce myself, but I will say that I live in Lawrence, Kansas. So I've been in Kansas for almost 20 years now, and I'm a mom. I have homeschooled 4 of my kids. 2 are still at home homeschooling. One's in college, one's in high school. And I'm loving teaching with Saint Raphael. This is going to be next year will be my 3rd year teaching with Saint Raphael, teaching both in the lower school liberal arts and also Russian. So before I came to Saint Raphael, I've taught in lots of settings, including university settings. My background is actually in linguistics, in Slavic linguistics. I have taught in the past at universities and other places Russian and Russian literature, and then also some other language and literature courses. So I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, we love having you. Dr. Moulton is a favorite of families, of instructors, of students, and she's always creative, energized, and has a great smile that makes you want to smile. So we are happy that she is continuing on with us. Before we talk about next year, though, I do have one important question. Could you tell us one of your favorite saints and why?
Thank you for saying one of my favorite saints, because it's hard to pick a favorite. So I'm going to pick one that people that know me might feel surprised by, but that's okay. So one of my favorite saints is Saint Raphael of Brooklyn, who was canonized a little over 20 years ago here in the United States. And I'm going to tell you what I love about him and what I love about his story. So I think first and foremost, he's close to me because I got to attend the service when he was glorified at St. Tikhon's.
Whoa.
And that was a really moving experience. And it's the only glorification I've ever been to. I hope I'll go to another in my life, maybe. But so I love that he lived here in America. I love that he actually came to Kansas and founded some parishes right where I live. But one of my favorite stories of his life is that actually, let me back up. I love the fact that he was born in the Middle East. He went to live in Russia then and was a clergyman in Russia for a long time, and then was sent to the United States, which made him so well fit for coming to our country because he had been in various parts of the world. And all of us here in the United States come from various parts of the world. But one of my favorite stories about him is that when he started serving the people in this country, he knew that he had been sent here to take care especially of people who spoke Arabic. And the story that people tell is he would get on a train and he rode the train across the United States, and he would get off the train in a town and he would ask people, is there anyone here who looks like me or who talks like me? And very often then he would find a Lebanese family or a Syrian family who spoke Arabic, and he would just meet them and take care of them. Maybe they would take him into their home. They were so happy to see a priest because they had a baby that needed baptizing. Someone wanted to get married. They hadn't been able to have, sacraments. And then when he was finished, he would go on to the next town. And I just love that idea, that spirit of just getting on a train and seeing where it's going and getting off and just being there for the people, whomever you could find. And that just touches me all the time. And I think it has affected so much of us in the United States more than we know, that there were people that did that, for all of us here who, needed pastors. We needed people to care for us. So beautiful. I love Saint Raphael for that reason.
And for those of you that don't know, Saint Raphael Brooklyn is the school's patron saint.
Exactly. And I did not choose Saint Raphael because of that, which is so funny. But
He
is
must
our
have
school
brought
patron
you
saint.
to us.
That, yes, exactly. I do love that about him. So
I love the story of Saint Raphael Brooklyn, and the other point of his life that I love is he was all about education.
yes.
Education was vital to him, that, he was so determined, even though, for example, the children of the day may have known Arabic. He really brought English into the catechism of the youth to make sure they understood the word of God completely.
Yeah.
And so he devoted his life to the people, to education, to the youth. And yes, he's a really glorious friend of ours.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. That was great.
I'm sure people that know me might have thought I would choose someone else. So if you ever want to ask me that again, I'll give more answers. But I do love that.
All right. Very good. Very good. Do you want to just give them a shout out?
I do love Saint Xenia of Petersburg. I have a special place in my heart for her, and her story is really beautiful and really fascinating, right? Because she did some really interesting things. She dressed in her husband's clothes, and she took care of people in secret. So a lot like St. Nicholas, she did special things for people without getting recognition. And I love that story. But I also have lived near her chapel at one stage in my life when I was living in Russia, and used to get to walk by her chapel all the time. So I like it when I have a personal connection to a saint like that. So
beautiful. Beautiful. May they both intercede to God on our behalf.
Absolutely.
So the academic year 22-23, open registration, 9 a.m. on Monday, April 4th. And I encourage our families to please register early, because we have great offerings. We have added the languages, Arabic, Hebrew. We also have added more Russian classes. We've added liberal arts classes to complement our growing student attendance. And we've also included several other electives, which I'm really excited about. So, Dr. Moulton, first tell us about what you are continuing to offer in the 22-23, and then we'll give them the surprise of everything else.
Fantastic. So we're going to continue this year with lower school liberal arts. I'll be teaching level 1 for our liberal arts, and as well as level 3. So very quickly, level 1 is the illustrated classics class. It's for basically kindergarten and first graders. So sort of like 5 and 6-year-olds. We meet in person 1 day a week. And then the families are provided with activities and things to do at home during the week, usually centered around some beautiful illustrated book, as well as often some poetry, something maybe related to nature or nature walks, and often the kitchen. Often we have recipes or things to do at home in the kitchen. It's such a fun class, such a fun age. In our classroom, we do a lot of fun games. A favorite this year has been scavenger hunts. So halfway through the class, when everyone needs to wiggle, I send everyone off to find something in their home and bring back and show us. And the few classes when we've run out of time and not done that, the children always ask, "We didn't do a scavenger hunt." So that's a real favorite. And it's just a really fun class and a great way to make friends. As part of that class, we do offer some parent support. So usually at the end of the class, we take about 10 minutes or so, and I chat with the parents. And that has turned into something really wonderful this year, that the parents have gotten to know each other and have supported each other in schooling their own families at home. So that's level 1. I'm going to continue for the 3rd year with level 3. And those students know how much I love teaching their class. Those are basically 4th and 5th graders. We do advanced chapter books. We read about 8 or 9 novels during the year and cover a lot of poetry too. And then we do lots of fun creative projects, some writing, some poetry writing, 1 or 2 sort of science projects related to some of our books, simple machines and that sort of thing. And then a favorite in that class is about once a month, we do an in-class debate on some topics.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to continuing with that class. They're such a great group.
Yeah.
So that will be fantastic. We are continuing with Russian. We have 3 levels of Russian this year, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be teaching Russian 1 and Russian 3. We do have 2 sections of Russian 1, so hopefully we'll get lots of students. And we are adding an adult section for Russian.
Yay!
We've had a lot of interest in some
Yay!
adults who would like a chance to learn Russian. So we'll do 1 evening class for Russian on Monday evenings. And I'm really looking forward to doing that too. So that's going to be a lot of fun and great opportunities for people. Then our fun edition this year. So the Russian for adults is an edition. And the other thing is something that I'll be doing for 8 to 12-year-olds. And here is, this is centered around something I really wanted to do because I love some of the books and something that I've found is really useful. So this is a poetry class. We're calling it the Lost Words, Nature, Poetry, and Orthodox Tradition for Children. I have learned in my courses that students love reading and writing poetry. They love to write their own poems.
Yes.
Especially, they just love it. And
Yeah.
especially if you give them a structure, a format,
yes.
a template. In level 3, we do this very often. Every month we write an original poem. We share them in class. It's a favorite activity. But I wanted to offer more opportunities for that for students who really love it. So this course will be offered only in the fall semester, 1 day a week. And it is centered around 2 things. So one of the things it's centered around is this absolutely gorgeous book.
I
called The Lost
concur.
Words.
So when Dr. Erin mentioned this book, I had to have it. And so it came in the mail, and just look at this. It is gorgeous.
It is so beautiful. This is a book that you want in your home, I promise. It is so worth the investment. It's big, it's gorgeous, and it has beautiful poetry in it also. And I do want to tell a little bit about the background of this book. So I believe the year was 2007. The new Oxford Children's Dictionary came out, and people were looking at the Children's Dictionary and noticed that there were some words that had been removed. So there must be a specific number of words that can be in the Children's Dictionary, 1,000. I don't know what the number is. Many of the words that were removed, or all of the words, I think, were related to the natural world. Willow, oak, heartwood, otter. So animals, plants. The words that were added were all related to technology. Things like email, laptop. So of course, there are good reasons for our children to know those words. And of course, we use technology all the time at St. Raphael. But a big part of what we do and of classical education is as engaging with our natural world. All of our lower school classes and many of our upper school classes too, of course, are all about making sure that we spend time in the natural world, that we know about the world that we live in, that we know about the beauty of creation around us. So these poets and artists decided to take those words that were removed from the dictionaries and write a series of poems to go with them and illustrate them. That's what the Lost Words is. They're poems based on those words. After that, some musicians actually set many of them to music. So we have a whole, I'll be able to share those digitally, but we have lots of music. And they have a second book also called The Lost Bells, which is actually small, but it is beautiful too. And my children really, really love it. There are gorgeous illustrations. So in this course, we are going to focus on nature poetry. We're going to do these 2 books, as well as hymnography from our Orthodox tradition. That has to do with, especially with the natural world. Each week we'll focus on a poem or poems, and each week we will write our own. So we're going to use these as templates to create our own poems each week. We will also, I'll have children also have simple watercolors and watercolor paper, because some weeks we're going to do some watercolor techniques so they can create some of their own illustrations. And as we also study the hymns and the poetry of our church, so from the Psalms, from the Apophis hymn especially, and from some of our Troparia and Cantakia, we're going to learn the structure of those. We're going to learn to love them. We're going to learn to love them, I think, is the most important thing.
I won't tell the secret about them.
Oh, good. Don't tell the secret. And
you have to take the class to find out.
And we are going to actually try our hand maybe at composing one of our own troparia to a saint, so that we can learn how the structure works. Ours probably won't be used in church, but it's a great writing exercise. And absolutely, students ages 8 to 12 can do this. It's going to be a wonderful experience. I will walk them through it and we will share in class. Students love to share their work in class. And at the end of the semester, then each student will have a beautiful book that they can create and print at home of all of their writing from the semester. So I'm really looking forward to this, really excited. I'm going to be honest, I've been testing some of it out on my own kids this semester and at home. So I know how fun it's going to be. And this should be a great way to kind of dive deeper, especially if you like poetry and like to write it. So hopefully some of my students who I don't have in other classes may want to come take that with me.
Yay. Oh, that sounds like a wonderful class. And I think too, maybe at the end of the semester, you do a showcase night.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
It's wonderful not only for students to write their poems, but to hear them read their poems, because there's nothing like attending a poetry reading where a poet reads his or her own work, and our students are exactly the same.
Right.
So I'm myself looking forward to it because I can't wait to see what they create. It's so fun for me to see the beauty of their work. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just to tell our families, all of our instructors really tapped into their creativity this year, and really kind of developed these extra elective courses that are exactly what you said, Dr. Moulton, a deep dive, right? Taking one aspect of our liberal arts curriculum, which basically is the reading, writing, rhetoric, nature, everything together that works together and functions together in a beautiful kaleidoscope, but then taking part of it and taking a deep dive into it. And, students love poetry across the board, I think, in SRS.
I really think they do. Sometimes they think they don't, and they almost always find that they love it. That's what I find with every student. It's so rewarding too, because you can read a short poem and love it and really dig into it, and you can write your own short poem and really dig into it too. So it's so exciting for everyone to share them too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know that our level 3 catechism Old Testament students this year wrote Psalms, and they loved that, following again an outline, but they loved that. So it is a really good way to express emotion concisely for them. And I think that's really important. Also, level 5 does something like that when they read Hiroshima.
Oh, yeah, I remember. And then haiku. Yes.
Yes. And again, it's that way of being able to express themselves. So poetry, you all will notice that we have many poetry classes. They're semester long, but they're well worth the journey.
Yes.
So we hope that you take advantage of that. Dr. Moulton is teaching the 3 through 7 grades, and then Mrs. Fothergill is teaching the middle school and upper school grades in the poetry. And we have a special class also in the lower school and lower middle school on saints, animals, and nature. And all those are semester classes. So it's really exciting to see having these opportunities for our students. So and for our adults. because
And for the
you're offering
adults.
adult Russian.
Because of Russian, yeah. And I hope with these courses, like the poetry courses, it's a great way. If you haven't ever taken a class with us, this is a great way to kind of get your feet wet and see what we're about. It's only an hour a week in the Zoom classroom, just a semester. It might be a great way to try us out and kind of, see who we are. So
yeah, we've tried to do our best in adding to our tried and true complementary courses that are deep dives. And I think, like you said, if you haven't tried us, feel free to come in on one of these poetry classes or catechism classes that meet once a week and get a feel for us. And also, don't forget, we also have summer clubs that are running, and you can look at those on April 4th as well and register for those. We have many this year, over 40, if I remember correctly. So come and take a look at those classes as well. You can also get an idea of what we'll be offering and how it would look like in a Zoom classroom. Any last minute details that you would like to add?
I just hope lots of students come and join us next year. One of my favorite things is getting to know families and their students, seeing them make friends. It is amazing how our students make friends with each other and really love being in class. And such a great opportunity for them to forge those relationships and for me to get to know them. So I'm just so looking forward to seeing who's able to join us next year.
Oh, well, we are looking forward to next year. Thank you again, Dr. Moulton, for all of your inspiration for the classes that are to come and the classes that are tried and true. And we will continue to have 5 questions with your classical educator, but with a twist, because we're going to have some parents and some students and instructors offer interviews. But once again, Monday, April 4th, 9 a.m. is when registration opens. And so if you're interested in Dr. Moulton's class on poetry, there's only 15 spots. So make sure you register early.
Register.
And that's true for all the classes, right? Remember, we cap our student class number to 15. So if you want a particular section, a particular time, a particular instructor, a particular class, please make sure you register early. So thank you very much for joining us. And
absolutely,
we will join and have another interview soon. So we hope to see you at registration on April 4th.